Hello, I'm MC Toon, the worst rapper in the world, and I've got myself going back into my mic. You won't hear it, but I will if I put these in, and if I bring up my guest, he'll hear it. You'll hear it, and it'll all go crazy. But I have way too many tabs open to, let's see where, yes, get out my tab here. Too many tabs open to just go and find it. So I'm gonna have to look for it and hunt it down. Normally this I don't know why, but man, it's gonna drive me crazy if I have to. Who knows? So let me. I don't know where it's gonna be at. So like I have Jordan ready to go, but you guys, as soon as I turn him up, you'll hear myself echoing in the background. But I don't know where it is. It's a strange. It happens every once in a while, but I usually just find it, shut it down. So look through a bunch. So we will have. So we've got Zhang coming. He's a little bit late, and we've also got Jordan Blake, who is waiting in the wings right now. Try to close down. And find the. Like I'm going through every tab. That's YouTube. Nothing. Price puncher. Pineapple belongs on pizza. I agree. All right, now I've got to go through my minimize tabs. I got a few of them. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, I know the Hadron Collider. It's okay. It's off for now, and I'm hoping that it's gonna stay off because I'd get irradiated with actual ionizing rate. Probably not actually. I gotta imagine probably not all that dangerous inside the tunnel. They just clear it out for safety. I don't know. I could be wrong. Like I haven't had these open for all day, so oh no. The nice thing about Chrome is that it gives you a little icon next to the tab that's doing some sound. Oh, found it. There it is. Gone. Now I can listen to myself and I can bring up Jordan in the audio. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. I know Jack Zhang, so you can see up in the corner there, we got a spot ready for Jack. Shows up. Woo!
Oh, knocking over things.
Knocked over. I got my clear plexiglass, which is to block the sound of my keyboard. Got a couple good advice tips on that, some ideas. Didn't put it into place yet. Anyway, I just bumped it. Let me get this back where it goes. Thank you. Sorry, everybody. Oh, made a mess. Water I knocked over. All right. Well, I have this as a coaster, but it doesn't matter because there's all this water right here now. Coaster isn't protecting anything. Maybe I'll get some towel in a minute, and we'll see. All right, how you doing, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's a warm day for fall down here in New Zealand.
We're on the inside of the loop, as the flat earthers would have you believe.
Right. Exactly. we can see the wall from the southern tip. Just
Yeah,
powerful enough to.
exactly. So I know the it's a little bit light in the chat because right now Team Skeptic is debating. Who is he debating? I just saw it. Get up.
He's not. No, he flat. What's Ross was the other day.
Flat Earth Aussie Roscoe now. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Idiot. Yeah, Mr. Idiot. Now I keep challenging him, and he will not even respond to my messages. So he's had a couple debates since I started pinging him saying, "Bring it on." But Mr. Idiot, he brings nothing. Have you watched any of his efforts at a debate?
I have not yet, but if you said that has he been on FTFE or?
Yeah, he was on FTFE a little bit ago with somebody else was actually debating him. But he he was my very first debate, April 20th last year. Apophis Rex says it's not a debate; it's a strange tales from the Tard session. Yes. I really wanted to press him on his the moon is a dog's chew toy. That was his claim recently.
Oh, I think I've seen that one. It's been a while though, but I will have to recheck if he's on Team Skeptics today. I'll probably watch that one tonight.
Yeah, it was his a video of his own. It was in the middle of a video, and I think last week somebody's like had the just the one time that was this short stretch where he was proving that the dog that the moon was a dog's chew toy in his tiny little idiot brain, because the moon sort of looks like a chewed up dog toy. It proves that it was a dog that chewed on it. So
what was it, Clifford or?
Clifford's big something, I don't know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, ancestors. So I see we have Multi Tom Tom, who 1 week ago tonight agreed to email me about a debate. So hey, Multi Tom Tom, it's been a whole week. You said you were going to debate, and you've not replied. So is that true? Are you going to, or are you going to be? Are you going to make a liar of yourself? I guess is the question I ask you. So I know I didn't give you a time frame, so maybe that's what you're going to use. So, are you going to debate 2 weeks from tonight? How about that? Yes or no? And if so, then I want an email from you tonight. Okay? And if you can't do that, then I will count you as a liar. Thank you for that. Anyway, got some emails from some text messages from my family right now, reading. So Dad sent me a message there about can't read them all now. So oh, we got Jack. Jack is coming in.
Oh, cool. All right.
We gotta rearrange stuff. Just a second. I think people can hear you if you talk.
Can they?
They can.
Okay.
But can't see you yet. I'm working on that. You are too. Your video isn't up yet.
Okay. I talked with Jordan this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just made fun of chemists.
Right.
You made fun of chemists. That's perfect. Let's see. I gotta find this. I made a logo for myself that was too many windows. Hold on. It was periodic table thing. There it is. There's my window that I want. And green bullion. So I asked Green Bullion about getting our Russian vids on the show, because Russian vids has been kicked from YouTube, and then I think he put up another account and was kicked like immediately. So I'm like, oh, let's get him on. But Green Bullion, who goes by 33UC, also he's like, he won't talk to Russian vids unless I let him on, Green Bullion. I'm like, no, you're boring. All you have is pointing at the number 33 in news articles, and can Buzz Armstrong's mom standing on the moon see him upside down. That's all he has. So yes, he is definitely subscribed to me, the biggest boom. It's always in the live chat right after it starts. So let's see. Jack, are you going to be on camera?
I can be if you want.
But
My hair's a mess, but yeah.
Buzz Armstrong
No
notes
haircuts in a
is
while.
sorry, Buzz Lightyear. Let me get it straight. Buzz Lightyear. All right. And then, oh yeah, I was gonna pull up. What was I gonna pull up? I was gonna pull up a picture. Something. Yes, Punchy. It is Buzz Lightyear. What was I going on about?
If you hear, sorry.
No, go Jordan.
I was going to say, if you hear a rooster in the background, I'm sorry, but my rooster has started now. I had a feeling he would. We were actually talking about this before the stream, but now he has started. So,
my goodness, I was gonna find a picture. What was I talking about? Jordan, it's on you.
sorry about that. Well, oh yeah, sorry.
I totally lost my mind, my train of thought.
So, sorry about that.
GPS. Hello, everyone. Save for those heretics who said bad things about pineapple on pizza. By popular vote, just so you know, pineapple does belong in pizza, and Canadian bacon is not bacon. But
Blasphemy.
is it acceptable to have Canadian bacon and pineapple on pizza? And I have some. Yes, it's not bacon. It's ham, and it's Canadian. So what do you, being a full-blooded Canadian, Jack?
What's that?
Being a full-blooded Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is your opinion of Canadian bacon?
It's better than the stuff you guys have.
Oh.
American bacon's trash.
And I did have
It's just like your beer.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I did eat my pizza with these. So, Jack, I'm still waiting for you to send me a picture of yourself eating pizza with chopsticks.
I won't. That's just wrong on so many different levels.
This is the slowest trend ever. So far it's got one person.
Let's hope it stays that way.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be happier if it decreased to 0.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, you know what? No, there's two. My son sent me a picture of I think a Chinese guy with an entire piece of pizza that he's holding with his chopsticks.
Wow.
So that's two of us. How's that? I always chop it up into little pieces with the pizza cutter. What was I gonna? Oh, there was some good thing I was gonna show. All right, forget it. We've got. we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about a few things. Jack, did you have a couple ideas, right?
Sure, I guess.
I thought. Now, before that, I thought we might start with a little quick, rapid fire fun thing here.
Sure.
Um, because today on is it Joshua Simpson? Somebody on Facebook was yapping about flat earthers being so woke because they do research and the rest of us apparently don't. So he posted a basically a meme that was globe anomalies. You guys see that? It's in the light.
Me
I can share. Hold on, I'll see it. It is
presentation. Okay.
there you go. So these globe anomalies was this guy who claims that flat earthers do research and nobody else does. This was his, I don't know. This meme was his proof or something. So, number 1, Jack. No proof of curve.
That's a load of bollocks, but it's just I could go on and on about proofs of all of these things, but
All right.
it gets to a point where
Just one.
the proof that the Earth curves.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of an elegant one that no one usually mentions. Oh, here's one. So for very distant objects like the sun, the angular difference between where it appears in the sky between two observers is given by the difference in latitude angles between those two positions.
Well, that's a good one. That's
Yeah.
pretty mathy. All right.
Yeah, I
And
like
that's a
that.
constant, by the way, too. So, for example, where the sun appears at its highest point on the two solstices, if you were to try and do that measurement, say at one point for both solstices, and then do that for another point, let's say, I don't know, 40 degrees north of there, then what you're going to find is that the difference in maximum elevation angles at any given point in time between those two observers is always going to be, what's it called? Like the difference between the elevation angles is always going to be 47 degrees, because that's where the sun's going to be at its zenith. Like it's 23.5 degrees north during, what was it, the June solstice, and then it's going to be at its zenith for an observer 23.5 degrees south during the December solstice. And so what you're going to find is that the maximum elevation angles between those two dates, it doesn't matter where you are, actually, you can do this anywhere, is going to be 47 degrees, and that's a constant. And that's what happens when an object is very distant from a curved surface where you can stand on any given point on that curved surface.
I like that. That's pretty cool. On both the solstice and the equinox here, these last two, the December and the March one, we had people measuring it. So like Punchy, who's in the chat, he did on the equinox. It was raining here. We didn't have sunshine in Minnesota. And in Israel, where Brown Thinker was at, he's the one who's like organizing it. It was also not sunny in Israel. So on the equinox. So I think it's like we can get the little more complicated version of it, but the like flat earthers they struggle even to solve a triangle. So like, well, we don't know how high the sun is. So like, well, let's just triangulate. You can't triangulate because it's so far. Well, yes, you can. Not that hard. So, Green Bullion came in as 33 UC. Wow. He claims
Trigonometry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That it's not even trig, right? It's I don't know if it even counts as trig, but to say, just solve a triangle, I guess it is, because to do it without using an online calculator or something, you kind of gonna use tangent or arctangent or arc sine or arc cosine, depending on what you need to solve, right?
Yeah, but even if you have to use the law of cosines, I mean, it takes a quick Google search to figure it out. You plug in the numbers and you find the whole triangle. It's not well, I say it's not difficult, but
Yeah. All you need to do, is just type in solve a triangle into Google, and you'll have an online calculator. About all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rainy Beaver. Green Bullion can't even figure out what number this is. And then I. It's a 3, right, in Roman numerals. And Green Bullion /33UC thinks that is a 33. I don't know what it was. So, all right, no proof of spin, they say. Jordan?
No proof of spin. My favorite would have to be Bob Nodell, of course. I mean, he proved it twice, but on his own. But even discounting that, and I understand that they all say that he was whatever, and he of course came back and said, "Oh, well, we tried it once, upside down on a mountain, and it didn't show up 15." So, yeah, but or whatever he said. I don't even really know what he said about that, but
yeah, his get out of jail card was pretty weak, but of course the indoctrinated ones still take it. I think what happened is he then went up to a mountain, up high on a mountain, and measured it there, and it did not measure 15 degrees an hour. It measured about 14 degrees an hour. Therefore, the Earth is not spinning. I don't get that
right.
one. It still seems to me the Earth is spinning, but by that, you can conclude that by raising Bob's elevation, the Earth spins slower. Right?
Right.
Definitely
which
could not conclude Earth stopped spinning.
Right. Because, yeah, I mean, I understand that exactly. That's the point. Like, well, it even if it's 14, it's still spinning.
Yeah. Now,
it's not zero.
Do you know why it did that? It's actually in the owner's manual.
I do not, but I will pass that on to the physics major.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Jack, why did Bob's 15 degree per hour, Bob, why did his fiber optic or his optical gyroscope read 14 degrees an hour instead of 15 when he went up a mountain?
I'm not sure. I don't even know what apparatus he used. I heard about it, but I never bothered looking into it.
Okay. It was a inertial reference unit from an airplane, a commercial airplane. It was $20,000. So when you change the elevation quickly and the pressure changes quickly, it takes a little bit of time for the actual physical device to equalize the pressure and deal with that pressure change. Because it's super sensitive, it's just a documented part of the apparatus. So
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
So he didn't like that. He just ignored that it says that. Anyway, I think he actually wound up ruining it, because they had like some sort of a electromagnetic pulse that they tried to use to like force the result on, and then like shorted it out. So something went weird there. So yeah. So we've got Leaf McLean in the chat here asking for a shout out. So there you go, Leaf McLean. Leaf is on YouTube and has is a psychology student somewhere. So there you go, Leaf. Here's your shout out. If they raised the speed limit to infinity, morons would still try to do 5 miles over. So, all right. But actually, the proof of spin, now they say proof, proof is not proof. Science doesn't prove, but lots of evidence of spin would be other optical gyroscopes. There's an experiment where they used liquid helium, so it's super fluid, and they put it in a very small little rectangular enclosure, and they measured, and it measured its rotation, and its rotation matched the latitude. Of course, there's the Foucault pendulum, which happens, and they try to wave that away by saying sometimes it doesn't work. Yes, sometimes experiments aren't done well, but that doesn't mean that when you do it well, it doesn't count. So you got that.
I'm gonna disagree with Toon here. Science doesn't do non-trivial proofs, but trivial proofs are fairly, common. Like, for example, if you discover a species, a scorpion that has red, coloring, you just proven that this new species has red coloring. That's one of its features. So, but anything beyond something that's trivial that you can just take from simple observation, that's like when you're trying to prove how accurately a theory matches reality. That much is beyond the realm of science, but
Yeah,
trivial
okay.
proofs are still a thing.
Yeah, and I'd say that maybe the wording might be more of, it's an observation or a measurement or a fact.
Yeah.
Right? We observed it to be red. Did we prove it to be red? I don't know. Is that really the right word for it? But
yeah, I would say, and the way that I usually say it is just proofs are for math and alcohol, and that's it. Yeah, and it's
4 places. You missed 2.
Wow. Okay. What I usually say is the 2. I must have missed the other 2.
Baking with yeast.
Right. Okay.
Yep, you gotta prove the dough, and then number 4, pseudoscience.
Right. If you're proving pseudoscience, then yeah,
yes.
I guess there's your proof.
So pseudoscientists think that proof is something. For example, the guy who's currently debating Team Skeptic says he proved that the moon used to be a large dog's chew toy because it looks like a large dog's chew toy. That's it. So Green Bullion keeps trying to pop in here. Yeah, let's see. He's demanding that I host him. Right? But I'm like, you got to go on camera. So not going to go on camera, then don't even bring it up. So yeah, Ilya Moon says she is no dog's chew toy. What were you saying, Jordan?
I was just saying, is he a biblical numerologist? Is that what he does with 33? Or I'm not very familiar with him.
33 is what the non-Freemasons say is the most important number for Freemasons.
Okay.
Because there are 32 levels to Freemasonry. Therefore, 33 is even more awesomer, I guess.
Okay.
But so I have heard Freemasons say, yeah, there is a 33rd level, and it is mostly an administrative level. Like, you've been in the organization a long time, and you've been a really good treasurer, so you get to be 33rd level. I don't know. They like to assign all sorts of things to Freemasons, so.
Oh yeah, no, I hear that all the time. So yeah.
Without any evidence, of course. Anyway, all right. No proof of axis. What would I don't even know what that really means.
I mean, if something's spinning, it has to spin about an axis, so that's just a corollary of number 2.
Yeah. So, all right. No proof of tilt.
Seasons.
Yeah, I mean, was observed. I mean, once you have rotation and sphere, then you can look at the subsolar point that varies back and forth. right?
Mhm.
Yeah, the oh, I can't remember what it's called right now, but the fluctuating, the equator line that kind of fluctuates up and down through the seasons, where the wow,
Coriolis.
Coriolis effect. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Kind of fluctuates. We were going through that the other day. I
Do
have
you
to
mean
look it
the
up, but it's
analema? Analema?
no, no. It's a four-letter acronym. I have to pull it up real quick to see. It's used for the trade winds.
Oh,
I've been doing a bit of geography for my biology courses right now, and I have to take geography for
What?
no reason whatsoever. But
Yeah,
Well,
I can empathize with that so much.
while you're looking that up, let me just show you this. This is my my jar today. My Freemason jar is olives. It's an olive jar because we've been making a lot of homemade pizza. So olives go on pizza for two of us in the house.
I do actually like olives on pizza, so I have to say that is okay. The ITCZ, where the doldrums are.
Oh, that's new to me.
It kind of fluctuates based on seasons because of the trade winds and how they work. But
I have to disagree. The ITCC is the International Tree Climbing Championship, according to Google. It can't be both. Right?
Z. The last letter is a Z. Intertropical Convergence Zone.
Okay. Too close. Still too close. It's a tree climbing.
I'm okay with that. I don't normally include geography because that would go well beyond rotation for flat earthers. So
Yeah.
Well, fifth grade goes beyond flat earthers, so I mean.
That's true.
Yeah, somebody had posted something about an engineer, somebody on Facebook claiming to be an engineer and a flat earther, and I just commented, you can't have a qualified engineer that is a flat earther. And somebody's like, yeah, they can, because they're just scared that they'll lose their job if they come out. Like, no, if you are a qualified engineer, you can solve a triangle. If you can solve a triangle, you know the sun could never set. And if anybody's an engineer and cannot solve a triangle, they need to be immediately fired. That's not an engineer.
The simple test I would always use is just ask them what's the integral of x with respect to x. If they can't respond to that within 10 seconds, then they don't deserve to be called an engineer.
True. So, civil engineer. Do they do calculus, really?
They do. I started off as a civil engineering major, so yeah, I have nightmares from that.
Oh, okay. All right. I love 5. Oceans always flat and level, impossible on a globe.
The premise is wrong. That's all there is to it.
All it is an assertion. They're just asserting that the oceans are flat and level. Of course, I don't disagree. It is level. Level is a curved surface, but not flat. Provide measurements. So let's say, the water in a jar is flat. Therefore, the water in the ocean is flat. But of course, water in a jar isn't necessarily flat. Did you measure that? Or did you just use your eyes that are faulty measurement devices? Can you see 1 degree of curve with your eyes? No, nobody's eyes are good enough to see 1 degree of curve. And so you need 69 miles or 110 kilometers of water or 1 degree of curve. And you cannot see that with your eyes. So you need a measurement. They never have that. All right. Straight horizon rises to eye level at 10,000, 36,000, or 120,000 feet. This is actually 2. They're claiming straight horizon, and they're claiming it rises to eye level.
Right. And it does neither.
Yeah.
Again, measurements. I do have on my website, mctoon.net, I have the left to right curve of the horizon. I have, I'll show it to you. Just go to mctoon.net. Scroll down a little bit. Everybody can do this. I put this up here so that everybody can have a look. I mean, I didn't do most of the science and observations on here. So, left to right curve of the horizon 1 and 2. There you go. This one's done by Rory. You can horizontally compress it. There you go. And then we've got the one done by Tommy Grunwald. And this is pretty cool. You can click on it, get the original full size image. And I didn't do the left to right impression on this one, but you can see here the actual image of a straight edge next to the horizon. And then what I did is I counted the pixels. I actually counted the gap between the straight edge and the horizon, and I graphed it. See this curve right here. So there you go. And then they say the horizon always rises to eye level. Of course, it never does. Again, right on my website, the horizon does not rise to eye level. There it is. This one's my own picture here, from an airplane with a theodolite app. You can see the moon below the horizon. And below eye level. And you can see below that even is where the cloud line is. So there you go. Does not rise to eye level.
Yeah, I've used that photo a few times because I've had it in my encounters with flat earthers online. I've had many of them try to parrot that, horizon always rises to eye level. Well, no, it doesn't. And here the moon is below eye level, so the moon must be lower than an airplane.
Yep.
So why don't we land on the moon? If it's lower than an airplane can fly.
Yeah, it certainly should be easy to go land on the moon with an airplane, and there'd be like enough atmosphere there to get along.
Of course.
Yeah, you just need to pump it in and pressurize it. You wouldn't even need to bring it with you. It'd be easy. All right. So let's see. Crepuscular rays prove sun is close. Oh, I love this one. This is one of my favorites whenever they do it on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Let me because if they're going to claim crepuscular rays tell you where the sun is, then they're in trouble. They've kind of screwed themselves.
The sun's right outside the window.
Yeah.
I actually made a post about that in our group not too long ago, but about it was the picture of the sun right outside the window, and using zetetic astronomy, the sun is 15 feet over Dave's house.
Yes. This one here.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
So there you go. Yep. The sun is right, and here what I love about this is when I post this, nobody ever says anything, but the measurements are wrong. Right? It says 3.4 meters tall and 3.4 meters wide, but you can see that's not actually the same length. But they never see that. Ever. I always miss that. But yeah, I got a few. You got this one here. And then this one. This is the best. If crepuscular rays tell us where the sun is, then it's down inside the dirt somewhere, somehow. So yeah, that's super. Let's see. And then I always finish with this one. The sun must be actually sitting on this woman's shoulder.
Where it looks like it is.
Yep, that's their logic. It well, ooh. Got another one from this is a little more complicated one. I like these simple ones. It's so silly for them. So let's see this. This is that as seen from there. Yeah. And I've seen the pictures of like clouds from an airplane, I think, with the lines, the shadows going straight off of them. So, yep. Yeah, 33 keeps trying to post things in here. The same thing up and down 3 times in a row. So 33, come with something new. The I've told you before, if you want to come on, you can come on. You got to be on camera. There's no debating that. There's no negotiating that. If you don't like it, don't care. Go away. So, all right, let's go to zoom lens proves moon is close.
It's just a non sequitur.
Yeah, it because you can zoom something.
Yeah.
Consistent constellations prove we don't orbit the sun, except that the constellations are different 6 months apart, right? You can see Orion for part of the year and you can't for part of the year.
Yeah, and due to the wobble too that we have around the axis, I think the constellations change every, they call them the age of something, and we were in the age of Pisces and now we're in Aquarius, and that's where I don't know exactly how they measure it, but it's based on where what constellation is in the sky at a specific time, and they've just shifted a couple, maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little less.
It's a many thousand year cycle, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not consistent then.
Yep. And then now let's see, Mercury and Venus visible at night, impossible in helio model is the claim.
Show that. It's just geometry. It's math. You can't actually prove this one, so go for it.
Yeah.
Show me how it's impossible.
They just like to assert that, and that's all they have. So I have, I'll do it right now.
Oh, sorry, go.
Multi TomTom, in fact, said that to Dazza the cameraman on his video. Just the other day here. So let's see. Oh, look at that. I have a compass there for you, 33. Let's see if I can make it work. A little sloppy. That ain't gonna work. Gonna have to freehand this one. So here we have a big screen on this. We have in the middle the sun. We have on the outside the Earth, and on the inside Venus orbit, right? Put the Earth here. Put Venus over here. Right there, right? Well, you can see Venus from the Earth at sunset and sunrise at different times of the year. Never in the middle of the night, right? But at sunset and sunrise. So there you go.
Yeah. I think where they get that from too is they just see a picture. Well, one of the pictures online when you search for the solar system, and it shows the very out of scale picture of a solar system, and that's kind of what they think about. But well, even then, that's not the scale.
Yeah. Well, they look at it's this picture. It's this picture where Venus is directly inside, right? Of course, yeah. You can't see it then, right? But you can see it when it's over here, part of the year, and it's over here part of the time. Not the year. It's the cycles have to interact at just a year. So there you go. 10 globe anomalies that are not anomalies at all. Just a damn thing. So So, Jack, you had some ideas about some stuff.
Well, we're in the middle of a quarantine that has spurred so much stupidity on the internet. So, if we ever want to take a break from flat earthers, we could always look at that.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I'm working on. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I think we'll come back to the. You mean like the conspiracies about what COVID-19 is and all that,
Yes.
right?
Oh, especially the 5G tower. That one just has me
So,
crackling.
well, that's what I'm going to talk about. So here I have 4 antennas that I made. Look how complicated they are. What do you think? Do these look like high-end, super powerful weapons antennas? According to Mark Steele, these are weapons systems. So he has a LED light that has a what's called a WiMAX wireless communication system on the top with a really basic monopole antenna that is this long. I made this one the same length as the one he has. And he says I don't remember what he called it, some sort of a refracting lens radar scanner. Seriously, that's what he called it. It's a simple monopole antenna that's on a printed circuit board. And he called it that. And people who don't know, like him, people who don't know hear that, and he says he's a weapons expert. Therefore, they're like, oh, no, that's terrible. But it's a basic omnidirectional low-rent antenna that's actually quite cheap. So I'm working on a video on that. It's actually, I'm going to do several videos because he has so many dumb claims that I'm going to just do one video per claim. Maybe one big video that talks to all of them. So that's the 5G. He calls it a 5G light. But all right, Jack, what have you seen? I think we've all seen it, but what have you seen about the 5G and COVID-19?
Well, I have seen everything from the 5G towers create the virus to they are definitely harmful no matter how you want to spin it. So people just complain about it no matter what with regards to this virus. I have seen people say that it's a conspiracy by China. I have seen that both the towers and the virus are a conspiracy by China. So there's a lot to go over.
Yeah, the towers are easy because it's testable science.
Yeah.
Whether or not the origin of the virus, that's a lot harder, right?
Yeah.
So, all right.
And it just makes me laugh that people think that this virus is a biological weapon. No sane military commando would ever think about using a bioweapon. It's just too easy to get fratricide.
To get what? Oh, to kill your own people.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would you... You don't want to be victim to your own virus. Yeah. So, let's see. Oh, we got this time 33 green bullion showed up instead of 33. So, same thing. You bring nothing to it. So, he says, Russian vids wiped the floor with you, big deal. Except Russian vids didn't bring any evidence. He actually got quite embarrassed. So speaking of, I'm gonna go back to this for a second, Jack and Jordan. So, oh no, I have this already done. I debated Russian vids, and there it is. I'm like, well, why does the sun appear to set? He says perspective. I said, oh, cool. So we can actually calculate perspective. And so I calculated perspective. I did a little bit of math. I took this distance across there. I took this height here, and I did the math to get the actual angle there of this is a different particular example, but this is the minimum angle that the sun could be in the middle of the night. And he had no response. He just said, perspective. I said, no, we already did that. That's what I was doing, was calculating it. He said, perspective. So he can't solve a triangle. And what grade in Canada, what grade is that covered?
For what level of trigonometry?
Yeah. Solving a triangle, what level is it?
It depends on what level of trigonometry you want. So when you say solve a triangle, like give me a specific example.
Oh, well, I have a side angle side.
Oh, that's 8th or 9th grade.
Yeah. Same here. So Russian vids and 33UC cannot do 8th or 9th grade math. Neither can any flat earther. That's the key. That's when somebody's like an engineer, blah, blah. Like, it's all it takes is 8th grade math. You can't do 8th grade math, then you could be a flat earther. So, all right, let's go back to, because I've hidden him for now. Done with him for now. I'll unhide you later, 33. You bring nothing today. So, the 5G causing stuff. Jack.
Oh, well, it's very trivial to show what the effects of microwave radiation and that bandwidth can do. It heats things up, and that's about it. Like, you don't sit in front of one because it might cook you if you get too close. Actually, I'm not even sure what's the power output of those antennas, but there's no way that sitting, a block away from one of these antennas is ever going to hurt you.
Well, yeah, the actual, your phone puts out more, a stronger signal to your body than the tower does.
Yeah.
Right? Because the tower needs to get a signal to your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so by the time it gets to your phone, which is near your body, it's at the minimum receiving power for your phone. Then your phone has to send to the tower. It has to send much stronger to get to the tower than the tower sending to your phone. So your phone is more dangerous than the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then they talk about 60 gigahertz. They get all excited about that. They're
number.
like, and they're like, well, it's just obvious. It's worse because it's a higher number.
Visible light is a much higher number.
Yeah.
As far as frequency is concerned. Yeah, I don't see anyone complaining about my light bulb or their light bulb.
Stringer News 1 gets negative 102 dBm from the tower, and his phone can put out plus 6 dBm. That's way beyond what a conspiracy.
Flat earther.
Yeah, well, not just flat earther, right? A 5G moron could come up with any sort of understanding of that.
They wouldn't even understand what dBSM even means. So, I mean,
no,
it's the decibels square meters, by the way, for anyone who's wondering. It's a measure of intensity.
Yep. And then have you seen them claim that it's it causes cancer and it causes or more of it, you get radiation sickness from 5G. They're like, these are the symptoms of 5G, and then they list off the radiation sickness symptoms. Have you seen that one?
It's not ionizing radiation. It doesn't have the energy required to knock off an electron from a molecule or an atom, so it can't change the chemistry of whatever substances are in your cells. If it could do that, then so could your light bulb, because visible light has a much higher energy than a microwave photon does.
Yep, but they again can't even comprehend that. They're like, no, it's ionizing, right? Show me. It's ionizing. Well, yeah, show me. It's ionizing. Oh, super. Can you show me? So Dick Dawson, why would one set of frequencies be so harmful yet others benign? That's a good question. But it is a problem. Their X-ray, for example, is a frequency that is ionizing, so you don't want a lot of it. where things below, basically, the line of ionizing radiation is right in the ultraviolet light range. And all of these different wireless communications are below that, and significantly below that. So, he's wondering, Dick Dawson's. I mean, within the broadcast available one. So yes, if it's broadcast, then yeah, it's none of that is ionizing. So, all right, what other ones have you heard? I got a couple. You got any?
Oh, this was not specifically 5G, but it is related to the virus. I don't know if I should share this now or later.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I just watched that Trump press conference where he says inject disinfectant into yourself, and that's, for me, that's not the stupid part. The stupid part is people trying to defend that statement. I've seen so much stupid shit from people trying to defend that statement. Like, I heard one where it's like people injecting UV light into your body is a legitimate medical practice, and I'm like, there's no way any self-respecting doctor would think that's a good
To
medical practice.
Inject UV light. Now, I saw somebody respond to that with a picture. It's just a picture, so I don't know what it is. It looked like an IV or something.
Yeah,
somebody
I see that too. Okay.
with like this with a fiber optic thing coming to it. So it looked like they were maybe actually having some UV light in the blood vessel or something.
Okay, so here's the thing, because
I
I
don't
know
know
where
what
that
that
image
was.
is from. Okay, so that, for one, it's definitely photoshopped. You can barely see into the ultraviolet spectrum. That's why when people use a black light, they have to turn off all the regular lights in the room so that they can
Yeah.
actually see that one, like, tiny fraction of that UV spectrum that can actually, trigger that electrical impulse from your eyes. Now, so for starters, we know it's Photoshop because the lights are on, and yet we have this thing that's bright blue purple, and they're calling it ultraviolet light. Now, what that original photo was, it was either just a regular IV, or, get this, there's a alternative medicine thing, which basically means that it's not rigorously tested, so we can't conclude that it works or not. But it's used in Russia at the very least, and I think a couple other countries, where people would stick a diode into your bloodstream, and supposedly the light helps your blood circulate better. It's, as far as we know, it's complete hoax, but some people do use it as an alternative medical practice. Now, UV therapy, that is a thing where they're trying to kill excess skin growth. Basically, sometimes your skin, the cells, they multiply out of control. It's almost like cancer, and they develop these little bumps on your skin. So basically what they do is they use UV light to kill off those excess skin cells. That's not used for treating viruses. The other one that's no longer used, though, and it's also considered alternative medicine at this point, is they would suck some of your blood out into an apparatus, and that apparatus is outside of your body, and they would basically try and sterilize your blood with UV light before pumping it back into your body. Not one of those things involves actually injecting UV light into your blood.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't help you with your virus either way.
Yeah, I don't see how UV light, if you were able to do that, would be non-discriminate, right? It would.
Yeah, it would kill your own cells too.
Kill the things you don't want killed. So, sounds a little suspicious to me. So yeah, I mean, obviously he knows nothing about physics, medicine. The list goes on.
Yeah.
So, all right, hold on. I almost got this cube here. All right, good. All right. Phase 1 done.
What's even worse that I've seen too is that the injecting disinfectant thing has actually gone and okay, I'm not going to go into politics and they say that he said it on accident. That's fine. But people still listened anyway, and there was an uptick in poison control calls afterwards. Yeah. With people gargling with bleach, I believe, was a big one.
Well, there's flat earthers that say you should drink bleach.
Yeah.
No kidding. Earth is Seriously Flat, who I did a video on because he was harassing a guy working on a light pole. He does drink bleach regularly.
Is that the MMS? Is that the MMS?
Yeah, that's
stuff?
the MMS garbage. Yeah. He also has an ozone machine in his house. That's he has a video. pretty stinking aggressive machine. I've seen like little ozone machines. This is a big one. It's cool looking, and very frightening in the hands of somebody that's not very smart, like any flat earther. So, and I've also seen. All right, so I've seen flat earthers claim that you need to have ozone because ozone is all healing and whatever. Not that good. Don't do that. I've also seen people saying that 5G towers cause corona, which is a distribution of electricity off the top of a tower, right? Which is sparks jumping into the air, basically. Which is not
Coronal
what
discharge, yeah.
Yeah, which is not what 5G towers do. Not even close. Not even in the vicinity of voltage that's possible. But they say it causes that, and then causes ozone to happen, and then that makes you suffocate and causes the symptoms. I've seen that too.
Yeah, and a thing I can't understand that, because I've had so many people try to preach to me on other groups too, mostly the anti-vax group, about ozone therapy. And ozone is toxic. At a high enough level, ozone's an extreme oxidizer. And once it gets in your blood, it's really not good for your system. And especially with one of those industrial ozone generators, it can kill you.
Yeah. Ooh. Stringer News 1 posted a Quack medicine device. I won't put it on the stream, but if you want to click on that little Pinterest link, it's ridiculous vintage Quack medical devices, which is something to fix piles and constipation and prostate problems. So you can imagine what it looks like and where it goes. Yep. Frightening. Wow. Oh my goodness. I recommend everybody go here, but I'm not going to pull it up. Click on that link and the other things on Pinterest, like the celery treatment. Wow. Wow, that's terrifying. And then there's this patent. Apparatus for oh my gosh. Apparatus for facilitating the birth of a child by centrifugal force. Oh, the name is enough. All right. That I think we can look at that one. You guys see that?
Here, let me pull it up.
That is amazing. What could you how could you centrifugally induce? Oh, yep. The patent is the PDF is great. Here you go. It's got a woman in basically an Air Force type rotation chamber who lays there, and there's some sort of a bag to catch the kid. Oh my goodness.
Um,
Oh my goodness. That sounds yep. Why? Oh, you start on a little inclined platform there, and then it starts spinning, and as you spin more, the platform flips out a little bit, levels off, so that it can rotate, and it's an actual patent. That's great.
The one that I heard was these it was this post on Facebook. Someone's like, you should have a lot of vitamin C intake. I'm like, okay, what's this about? For fighting the coronavirus. And then I look at the reason, it's like it'll increase the amount of hydrogen peroxide in your blood. I'm sitting there thinking,
Oh my gosh.
how and why is that good? How does absorbic acid become? Isn't hydrogen peroxide a base? Like, how does an acid turn into a base in your blood? That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and hydrogen peroxide in the blood is a bad idea anyway. Same as ozone. That's
Yeah, too many oxygens.
Pretty strong oxidizer.
and the same people that will say that antioxidants and stuff, which is fine. Antioxidants are relatively good for you. Blueberries are great, but they'll say antioxidants and then they'll say inject ozone and peroxide. So which is it?
Yeah, doesn't work too well there.
No.
Let's see. What else was there? Oh yeah, my favorite is so this one I tried to find the source of this particular claim was that 5G 60 gigahertz, which I've looked and I don't know if there's actually any 60 gigahertz 5G that's deployed yet. Maybe there is, but it certainly is not common. They're saying that 5G is that 60 gigahertz is absorbed by oxygen molecules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true,
right? Because of and it's absolutely true, and that's what makes it a good frequency, because it limits the range. So when you have towers near each other, they don't have conflicting signals, right? They don't have this one's sending out a signal and this one's sending out a signal, and somebody over here gets both. So it limits the range, and that's good. But then they say that it is absorbed by oxygen, and then here's the jump. The oxygen molecules then cannot be absorbed by the body. It reduces oxygen uptake, blah blah, hemoglobin, therefore you suffocate and have the same symptoms as the flu. So I started searching. I said, well, who started that? Because that sounds fishy as can be. And I couldn't find anybody that was a legitimate source. I did find a natural doctor something that responded to me on her website. I sent a thing, and we emailed a little bit, and she's like, here's the, I'm like, where's the evidence of this? And so she sent me a thing showing how 60 gigahertz RF is absorbed by oxygen. I'm like, I'm not questioning that. My question is, how does that affect oxygen uptake? And she found 2 other people on their websites that made the claim, just like she did, but did not link to sources. So I'm like, you didn't actually provide anything. So I don't know if anybody can find a source, like who started that. I know it's crap. It's absolutely BS. That the oxygen out here could be affected so that your body could not absorb the oxygen. Because basically when an oxygen molecule absorbs 60 gigahertz RF, what does it do to the oxygen molecule?
it excites it. It heats up, basically.
It makes it warmer. Yeah. So now you have an oxygen molecule that's very slightly warmer. Is that not able to be uptaked into your body? Because if that was the case,
tropics, God.
if that was the case, everybody in the tropics would be dead. So, oh yes, quit.
Imagine people in saunas.
Yeah, I mean it'd be a death machine there. It would have saved a lot of money in certain wars by certain people. It wouldn't have had to purchase any,
Kits.
hard to make gases. You just warm it up. So yeah, quit asking me to sprinkle them chesticles is saying, did you see the link I sent in the last debate about whiskey made from diabetic urine? I did. That's amazing. I didn't read it, and I closed the link in my shutdown of the last stream. So sorry, if you want to post it again, I guess you can. Let's see. Want to see something very scientifically cool? Check out Applied Science's newest video. He discusses hypercentric lenses. All right. Well, I will do that. Maybe it's best offline. I don't want to just rip off his stuff, and I haven't seen it, so I don't want to. Without. There it is.
Today,
A camera lens that can see behind objects. Very cool. Yeah, I'll look at that later. So, all right. Let's look at this whiskey from diabetic urine. Are you up for it, Jack and Jordan?
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, check it out.
What could go wrong with whiskey made from diabetics' urine? Well, I know who is the number one target audience for this. Flat earthers. They love drinking piss. So, you know that Mark Steele, that guy who doesn't understand anything about electronics, saying that he does. He was on a panel with a fake nurse yelling about stuff, and allegedly Dave, the flat earther that is best known for drinking his own piss. So, James Gilpin is a designer researcher, works on the implementation of new biomedical technologies. He's got type 1 diabetes where his body doesn't produce enough insulin to regulate blood sugar levels. So he started a project which turned sugar-rich urine of elderly diabetics into a high-end single malt whiskey suitable for... Why is that a thing? Oh... like his own grandmother, purified in the same way that Maine's water is purified. I don't care. With the sugar molecules removed and added to the mash stock to accelerate the whiskey's fermentation process. Traditionally, that sugar would be made from the starches in the mash. Once fermented into a clear alcohol spirit, whiskey blends are added to give color, taste, and viscosity, and the product is bottled with the name and age of the contributor. Oh. Sorry, I don't have a very strong stomach when it comes to stuff like that, so I got... Wow. That's terrible. What do you think of that, guys?
I don't even know what to make of it.
That's gross.
I mean, I've seen things like that before. I know they did it with what was it? Yeast from a woman, let's say, for beer, and I know that was one. And I mean, I guess it's possible to do, but it's not a good idea.
No, the last time I did this was in high school, where we made ethanol from some form of what's it called, cellulose. I think we used paper or toilet paper.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen, and I know chemistry and everything, but there's an organic chemist on YouTube called Nile Red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where we got the idea.
Toilet paper. He recently did toilet paper.
He made alcohol out of toilet paper?
Yeah.
Yes,
It was actually
yeah.
It was pretty high concentration moonshine too.
Was it pre or post use? Let's go pre-use.
Oh,
pre-use, yes.
Yeah. No, it's funny because that video has aged so well now that all these people are panic buying toilet paper. We now know why.
Yep, they were
trying to make moonshine.
They were making moonshine. They did not close the alcohol sales in Minnesota. I don't know about elsewhere, but still go to the liquor store. Oh,
same here.
All right, so we've got, let's see, Peter G says the specification for new radio frequency range 2 is 26 to 40 gigahertz with some gaps. So there is not a 5G standard that uses 60 gigahertz. That sounds right. I don't know, but the protocol for 5G, right? The standard is different from what the individual countries, regulatory bodies have approved for usage. So I think just seeing that it is like this range, they just assume that it's going to all be that. So I looked at Canada. There's an announcement from January that Canada is 5G coming as of January. They were announcing it, and they were going to be using 2.4 gigahertz, 3.5 gigahertz, and 900 megahertz for 5G in Canada. There you go. Now, sir, 5G is not 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It's not the same thing. 5 gigahertz is a frequency. 5 gigahertz. 5G is 5th generation cell service, which is a protocol standard. Oh, kind of a standard. But I did see Gary Wybanga coming in here and making claims that we already covered. I'll read it to everybody. I think 5G has something to do with inhibiting how your red blood cells transport oxygen to your cells. I think it blah, blah, blah. And that is the problem, Gary. All of these 5G morons heard something. Therefore, it's evil. So 5G is not a frequency. If you're going to be specific about a frequency range like 60 gigahertz, then it does affect oxygen in the air, but it does not affect oxygen in your body. At least it's not been shown to, because it can't get through your skin. The top 16th of an inch of your skin is where the 60 gigahertz stops. So nowhere inside your body can it affect your oxygen uptake because it can't get into your body. So somebody said 5G does not harm you. It does not ionize. It doesn't strip oxygen from your body. Stop, grow up, and do some real research. So there. I didn't make a claim, nor did I say it does anything, silly girl. Yes, Gary, you did. You said, I think 5G has something to do with inhibiting. That's the problem. You say that, and then some other dummy says, oh, I read that. It does this, without adding in the I think and this, and it just gets ramped up. So here's the deal. Cite your source, people. Not you, Gary. I know you don't have a source. I know you're not making claims, so I get that. But it's just BS. Nobody can miss that people have been burning down cell towers, especially in England. The irony is, of course, what's the irony? Jordan or Jack?
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part. Your audio cut for me.
Yeah.
So they're burning down cell towers in England.
Uh-huh.
And what's the irony in
Why?
that?
There's a lot of ways you can consider this to be ironic, honestly.
The irony.
That's what I'm thinking.
Backtard has the answer. They were burning down 3G and 4G towers.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. So there's several groups in New Zealand even that people are against 5G and whatever, and most of the posts on there are people taking pictures of random towers saying, "Is this 5G? Is this 5G?"
I did exactly that just to mock them on a Facebook group. I went and joined all the different 5G Facebook groups I could find, and they got shut down. Facebook was shutting them down because they're making absolutely false claims and basically inciting violence. So Facebook did, I think, the right thing and said, "Nah, you guys get out of here." So the groups have kind of toned down, and they've been moderating what they've allowed people to post because they won't let them incite violence. So I posted a picture. I had just a regular incandescent streetlight that I drove by, and it had some radio pointing off to the side. I took a picture of it and posted, "What type of 5G is this?" And it got hundreds of comments of people trying to identify it. So let's see. Peter G. 60 gigahertz will be used in the WiGig, so Wi-Fi computer standard called IEEE 802.11ay, not a 5G phone standard. The license free because of low range, just like 2.4 gigahertz that water absorbs. So, yeah, and that is a common problem. People misidentify 5G with their 5 gigahertz frequency Wi-Fi radio. So, yeah, and everybody has done that. I've seen that all over the place there. So, yeah. So, Gary Wabenga, good question for you. Do you think that there is a conspiracy about 5G? You seem to be leaning that way. I do have I have my old Wi-Fi router that is not 5 gigahertz, it's just 2.4. Oh yeah, another one for you. Still hasn't decided yet, says Gary. So here I have my old Zycell. It's just a basic Wi-Fi router, right? With 2 antennas. And I do believe that these are monopole antennas. I could be wrong. Could be a dipole antenna. It's a little short for a 2.4 gigahertz. Maybe not. Because this is it's not. This is it's hard to see. This is a 860 megahertz quarter wavelength antenna. So yeah, a higher frequency one would fit in there just fine. So that could be a 2.4 gigahertz monopole antenna just fine. But there's 2 of them on here. Jack, do you know what that's for?
Sorry, what's what for?
Were you distracted? It's okay.
Yeah, I was.
The 2 antennas on here. Or Jordan?
No?
2 antennas.
2 antennas.
I have always wondered that, but I've never looked it up.
No?
I guess I could.
Now this is a pretty old one, so it might not be what's called MIMO. Oh, Stringer News 1 knows. I don't know if this is some of the early ones were just, it would just pick one that was the stronger signal and use that one. But yeah, MIMO. So if you let's just assume for a second that it is, and we'll put both. I do have another old one that I have retired. I don't know where it is. It's got 3 antennas. It is MIMO. So let's say you have your device over here, right? And it sends a signal, and it gets received by this antenna first, and then received by this antenna second. Right? When it sends it back out, it will send it first from this antenna with the same delay as it got when it received it, and then this antenna. So what will happen is those wavelengths will line up, and so the signal going this direction will be peaking in that direction. And then in other directions it will be lower because they won't be interacting waves, and they may be destructive, in fact, so that you get a significantly lower wave in that particular area.
So it's a low gain phase array, basically.
It's a phase array is another word for it, right? And you have a whole bunch of them. You can phase array. So MIMO that's what it is. And so 5G does include specific talk about MIMO, and so people look at that and they're like, oh no, it's going to phase array and it's going to whatever, it's going to be lasers and death rays. But no, it doesn't actually increase the net output. What it does is it allows it to aim the signal without physically changing the direction of the antenna. Well, I might as well get all my stuff out here. I got a lot of antennas. A lot. So hold on.
Yeah, so mine has 4. Is that you were saying that was for what, more dynamic, or?
It increases the gain of the antenna so that the signal is more focused in any one direction.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, no, that does make sense.
All right, so this is a 2.4 gigahertz antenna right here. It's a panel antenna or a sector antenna, right? So it sends it in about a 90-degree angle, right, instead of 360 degrees. So if you have somebody over this direction, they can get a much better signal, and you can have 4 of these antennas facing in different directions. And that basically you can have 4 times as many devices served by that same pole. Here's another antenna that's this is 2.3 to 2.7 gigahertz. So it's tuned for 2.4 gigahertz. I have some 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi ones as well. Those are directional. They service a wide angle. But this guy is a dish, right? This is super focused. It's no more powerful. It's just the same amount of power in one smaller area. So this is actually a Wi-Fi access point. You can see it's got a little Cat 5 plug on it. You actually power it over Cat 5. You need power over Ethernet injector. I got more in the garage. They're not ready. I pulled some apart so you can actually look at them. Again, for some videos I'm doing for Mark Steele because he's such a douchebag. Let's see what we're Stringer News 1, diversity reception. It's a big part of what MIMO is. Yeah. So, and Gary Wybenga, undecided, but you must admit these kinds of things can be weaponized. No, they cannot be weaponized because there isn't enough power in them. Right. For example, this is powered over a Cat 5 cable. What type of weapon could you power with a Cat 5 cable? There's not enough electricity available. You'll melt the wires trying to feed enough electricity. So let's see. Fun game for all to play. If it hasn't been mentioned, change your wireless router's name to 5G 1000% broadcast test, or maybe surveillance van number 7. Absolutely. I love that.
I used to do that. I lived back when I was in the States, for a while, I lived in let's say a little less nice part of town, let's say. And I would sometimes set it to FBI surveillance van or.
Yep. I don't have enough people that live near me to matter. So my kid lives in Minneapolis. Maybe that'd be a good place to do it. So Gary Wybenga, how could it be weaponized? Right? The Mark Steele moron says it's a weapon system, but he's holding these things with these tiny little components. He's like, that's 400 volts. Like, yeah, you're feeding it with 220 volts. It's a capacitor that must handle at least 220 volts, but it's actually more than that. It's root mean squared, so it's actually higher voltage than 220. So it has to handle that. And they only make capacitors at certain tolerance levels, right? So you don't go and say, I want a capacitor that's 285 volts. They only make what they make. So you buy what you get. Hillbilly scientist. Wait, it can be weaponized now. Let's be honest. You can smack someone and give them a serious welt. That's right. I take it back. That would hurt. Against somebody's head. Just get the sharp edge on there. Gary, could we try it on you? Just, we'll meet up. Well, we'll tell you what, that You just get a video. You're in California. Go find a light pole and leave it where it's at and put your head into it and see if that, sorry, a 5G pole. See if that does it. Just, record that, live record that so we don't, when the police show up, you can get that too. So Dick Dawson is doing some drinking this evening. Anyone want to go live later? So, is that, let's see. If you guys want some interesting stuff, go on to Facebook, jump onto the 5G groups. They are pretty crazy. It's fun because there's some 5G, like cell phone, not 5G, but just some cell phone techs that actually climb towers that are in there, and they troll these people constantly. It's awesome. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. They're in there. Like, some of them are just, giving information, and I appreciate that. But some of them are just in there making claims like, somebody installed 5G and the next day 5 neighborhood dogs had disappeared. Proof that 5G is killing people, or is a weapon, because dogs disappeared. And then somebody's like, well, prove that the dogs disappeared. So I posted 5 pictures of yards with no dogs in them. There you go. There's your proof. Dogs disappeared. So, well, I wonder how Team Skeptic did. Do you think he beat Mr. Idiot? Still going. Crazy. I'm partway through the debate that he had with Flat Earth Aussie.
With Team
Skeptic and Flat Earth Aussie Roscoe, he's going now, but
that was the one on Modern Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on Modern Day Debates.
Yeah.
I got it. So he goes with the standard. It's buoyancy and density instead of gravity. And so Team Skeptic's like, well, then how do you what's your formula to predict it? He's like, no kidding, I don't do those formulas. That's it. That's all the effort he puts into it. Like, well, then how do you know what it? Well, it's buoyancy and density. That's it. So, like,
I did watch FTFEs afterwards, and he did comment on how I think he asked him if what 20 divided by 5 is, and I'm pretty sure Flat Earth said 100.
Nice. Yeah, Flat Earth Aussie Jesus, I asked him if he could solve a triangle, and then he mocked me for suggesting that somebody solve a triangle. Seriously. He tried to mock me for asking how to solve a triangle. The rooster has
just because he... Yeah, sorry about that. He's probably pretending that he hasn't been fed in 3 days, which would be a lie, but you know how animals are.
Stringer News 1. Gary, be honest. You've looked at cattle lavishly, haven't you? Gary? Answer. Gary Wabenga, care to debate then? I'm sure MC Toon would host it. I'm sure I would host it, but Gary has so far been unwilling to debate, we'll say. I don't know why he's so unwilling. Oh, and he goes on about his the point, the horizon is simply the point where your angle over the surface becomes too narrow to differentiate between waves as separate, and it appears as a line across the field of view. Rubbish, all rubbish. So, if that were the case...
Yeah, one thing I've...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, why? Yeah, I've always seen that kind of explanation from flat earthers, but I've never seen why that would even be the case.
I asked him once, and I don't know if he was serious about this. If we were just floating up above the surface with nothing below us, right? And something the same distance away that had been obscured by the horizon by maybe 30 feet was also raised up the same amount above us, would the bottom of that object be missing its bottom 30 feet because the the horizon isn't there, but the angle is still the same as he is claiming it's the angle? And I think he did say yes, it would still disappear. And that's really all you need to know about the craziness. So, Gary, maybe you can answer that for us. Also, Gary said that there is no such thing as force. Like if something's resting on a scale, it's not pushing force on it. Something. I think basically he's denying Newton's laws of motion, which would be Nobel Prize material for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Lindsay. Have you seen, Jordan, you're on Facebook a lot. Have you seen Lindsay Harris?
Yes, I've absolutely seen Lindsay Harris.
So Lindsay Harris is a flat earther that, two things. This is, it's fantastic. It's a he. He'll never answer this, but he's like, fiber optic gyroscopes measure 15 degrees per hour movement because Earth's magnetic field moves 15 degrees per hour. Well, where's the measurement of that? His answer to that question is, you're just a Freemason. So you don't have an answer to that? Anyway, so then the second part is, you need to show, this movement doesn't exist, but let's imagine it did. Now you need to show how a moving magnetic field affects light. Which, of course, the same answer, you're just a Freemason. So, because if that were the case, then this magnet in here, a strong magnet, when you looked at the end of it, would have all sorts of distortions on the end of it. So, if the magnetic field rotated, you'd have to adjust your compass based on the time of day. That's absolutely, yeah. It's in insanity. But I'm a Freemason because I asked the question.
Yes.
But he keeps saying he's going to have a video that is the ultimate proof and everybody will understand it. And it's just this ever perpetual thing coming out. So
Yeah. Lindsay doesn't answer questions.
No.
I think even his did he no, I don't think he named himself that, but he's the self-proclaimed meme lord on Facebook. So
Lindsay?
I think it's
Oh,
Lindsay.
that's Courtney Jansen is the
Courtney. I'm sorry, I get those two confused because they're
two guys with girl names.
With girl names, yes.
Wait, why is there a guy named Courtney?
He's Canadian. I guess I would ask you.
Don't blame that on me.
I'm asking you why he's Canadian. That's not us. Jordan and I are
part of
Americans.
Canada.
Yeah. Is there parts of Canada?
Yes.
It's all the hat. It's America's hat. It's in the hat part of Canada.
There's the good half, which is like the eastern half, and then everything on the west up to British Columbia is just trash. Honestly, you can annex that if you want. I don't care.
As far as I know, everybody wants to annex Quebec, but
Quebec just wants to be on its own. But to hell with them.
Yeah. All right. So here, quote from Lindsay Harris: "Be prepared for the most revealing flat Earth video of all time. Any handy man can perform the experiment for themselves. This will prove, without a doubt, Earth is flat and how our night sky works. It's going to be mind-blowing. you will get to see the divine, spelled Devine, design of our amazing Earth in all its glory, space, period. He's been saying that for a while. So I posted, what did I post? He got mad at me. Not in this post. Somewhere else. He got mad at me when I asked him about the magnetic field. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Oh, it's the same one. Yep, okay. So, is it 50? Is it 15 degree per hour Bob or interesting by Jeranism? So he says, you know the magnetic field moves 15 degrees per hour. And I say, 1, provide measurements of your assertion, and 2, magnetic field movement cannot affect light. Disagree? Provide the evidence of this and collect your Nobel Prize. So his answer, the magnetic field creates the electrically charged field. Not vice versa, we know down here. Jack.
Wait, say that again.
The magnetic field creates the electrically charged field, not the vice versa we know down here.
That doesn't make any sense. That second one's a word salad. What the hell is an electrically charged field? Do you mean the magnetic field doesn't create an electric field? Because it does, and vice versa. That's what light is. It's oscillating electromagnetic waves.
Yep. All right, so I respond, waiting for the measurements. What can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Waiting for evidence of that magnetism affects light. You've been making this claim for a long time. If it were real, you'd have evidence readily available. You don't. His answer, no science BS to confuse the masses. Sorry to say, Freemasons, pure and simple. There you go. That's it. That's I guess we're done. Lindsay said it. No science BS.
No science BS. I love it.
So Gary Wybenga, I'm still wondering if we're sitting over a flat surface. Here we go. My router. Here we go. Here's the flat surface that you think is the Earth. And if we're over here, up a little bit, and something's over here on the surface, but the bottom of it is missing, if we were to leave the viewer here and the object here and just not have the surface, would the bottom of that object still be obscured? Because the angle is what you say is the issue. The angle would be the same. Would it be obscured? Oh. Everybody's on Gary because there's so much silliness there. I don't know. Hillbilly Scientist was on Social Blade, and Team Skeptic's views were up 33.3%. He's Illuminati. He's Freemason. They're different. They're the same, right? I don't know. Can't be straight. Oh, Gary. By the way, I have 2 more pilots in my family who are flat earthers. One just bought another. There's no such thing as a flat earth pilot, because pilots need to plot routes, and a route is plotted on a map that is not a flat earth map. It's simple, Gary, simple. Any flat earth pilot, just plot out on a flat earth map flight QF27. That's from Sydney to Santiago. Plot that on a flat earth. Go ahead. I don't think he's listening. He's talking. He's responding to Factard. So
I love how Gauss proved a couple hundred years ago that you can't map out a curved surface, like a spherical surface, on a flat two-dimensional map. And a couple hundred years now, we still have to explain this to people.
Yeah.
No, actually, the reason I wanted to do this science discussion, because last night I got a little worked up. I was playing a game with one of my friends, and he's not exactly the most scientifically literate of people. He's a nice dude, but sometimes what he says just drives me up the wall. And he's telling me how the pyramids are so perfect, and I asked him to define what he means by perfect, and he goes, the measurements are just they're right on. I'm like, right on what? You're just using a word sound. He goes, like, if you divide this dimension by this dimension, you get the first 6 digits of pi. I'm like, okay, 22/7. It's not pi exactly. And he goes, well, it is pi. I'm like, no, we've known for 2,000 years now that pi is an irrational number. I think it was Euclid that proved that. So yeah, we've known for a while now that the decimal expansion goes on infinitely, which just pisses me off when I see in movies and pop culture people talk about the philosophical significance of pi. It's a number.
Yeah. Well, they also go into with the golden ratio.
Yeah.
The conch shell or whatever. I see that there's a truck drove by our house the other day that was a cabinet shop that had that little thing on it.
I'm surprised people don't talk about Euler's number more, because the limit definition for E is actually an applicable real life problem for like compound interest.
People can't deal with logarithms. They don't get that. That's too hard. I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, there's any number of numbers you could pick, right? It could be any irrational number that you could just assign arbitrary significance to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I had a good fun trying to explain to someone that imaginary numbers exist as much as real numbers, and he couldn't wrap that around his head, because mathematicians just suck at naming things. I've never seen so many more confusing sets of descriptions for things.
Yeah, imaginary numbers.
Oh, here's my favorite: well-behaved function.
What's the definition of a well-behaved function?
It's basically any function that's not well behaved, and if it's not well behaved, it means that there's a sudden discrepancy in one of its qualities. Like, for example, the f of x is equal to the absolute magnitude of x, or the absolute value of x. That has a a point where it's not well behaved. X equals 0, because there's a cusp there. So the derivative is not differentiable at that point.
Okay. I don't know. For me, because I write software, so a well-defined, well-defined. What was it?
Well-behaved.
Well-behaved function is one that does not throw an exception when you don't want it to throw an exception. No.
Oh, the one that always kills me is people thinking the Big Bang is an explosion, and they go, "Ooh, singularity." They don't even know what a singularity is. It's not really a point so much as it's where a function is undefined or not well behaved, basically.
Yeah.
But trying to explain general relativity is just
it's not easy.
Yeah.
And so to think that you can disprove it by not understanding it.
Yeah.
You can't actually disprove anything by not understanding it. You first have to understand it.
Yeah.
There was a guy this week that said on Facebook he would pay $10,000 to anybody that could provide scientific evidence that Earth rotated and moved through the galaxy or something like that, right? So I sent him 6 peer-reviewed scientific papers. For a day and a half, he waffled around, and then finally he responded back saying basically one sentence that he thought disproved optical gyroscopes, anything using the Sagnac effect. That was it, one sentence, and he thinks he disproved it, which, if you did disprove it, you'd get a Nobel Prize, right? And he doesn't even understand that he doesn't understand. So just like Gary Wybanga, basically everything Gary claims would be a Nobel Prize. Everything flat Earth would be a Nobel Prize. Disproving gravity. Replace gravity with something else. Nobel Prize. Cold moonlight. Jack, what would it take for cold moonlight to cool something, actually?
Cold moonlight to cool something. Okay, so what cool moonlight is, it's basically where people don't understand how radiative cooling works. If you stick something underneath an object that blocks the ultraviolet rays or just hot air from escaping by going upwards, and they just sort of stick around and hover there.
Yeah, you put something
Once
here, right?
it's gonna
You've got
cool off
your
slowly.
object here, right? You put something here to block the moonlight. Heat can't get out. It's hotter here. Heat can
We
get
did
out.
that when I was
It's cooler here.
I was in 6th grade.
So what would it actually mean if what they thought was correct? If moonlight actually cooled things, what would that mean?
It would have to mean that the light has negative energy somehow, which just it doesn't make any sense. How can you do negative work on an object by hitting it? It's like you're absorbing something. You should get out all the energy that's within it, but instead you decrease the amount of energy in your system. That doesn't make any sense as far as we can tell.
Absolutely. It violates the first law of thermodynamics, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. And you would have to somehow destroy energy by having photons hit it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be actually really easy to do. You could just take an IR, like a FLIR camera, right, and point it at the moon, and you'd get a negative Kelvin value for it. But most flat earthers don't even know what Kelvin is.
Most flat earthers don't know what Celsius is. So, I mean,
Yes, most flat earthers are in America.
yeah,
I think you're right.
You want to blow a flat earther's mind? Tell him a laser is negative Kelvin, because it technically is, isn't it?
Huh?
A laser temperature, the actual temperature of the laser is.
I don't know where you're
I
getting
was
that
seeing it
from.
on. I was seeing it on a video by Styropyro. I don't know if it's he's a physicist of some kind, but I'd have to look into it. I don't know. But
there is a way to use lasers to cool things.
Yeah.
And that's how
you don't go below absolute zero.
Yeah, they don't go below absolute. So that's I don't quite remember the details on how that works, but it is not actually negative Kelvin.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't cool it. It's hotter than a system with positive temperature. I just looked it up. It's a system with truly negative temperature. It's temperature is usually
Oh,
it doesn't actually make it colder. It doesn't make it colder. That's not technically, because it's something to do with how it's more than infinite. So it's I don't know.
So all right.
Thought that
maybe we should bring that up and look that up and talk about it a different time. That'd be cool. I know Vsauce had something on that. But Gary Wabenga, he's a source of all sorts of nonsense. If you attached a scale to your ceiling and put a helium balloon underneath it pressing up, what kind of force would that be? Definitely not your gravity, and why would it want to go up? It's buoyancy, and buoyancy relies on gravity, Gary. My flat earth family is much smarter than the majority of you. They just actually have eyes to understand what they're seeing. Okay, Gary, no. Jack, do you want to explain the scale upside down on your ceiling that this helium balloon would be?
So scales, they don't measure your mass. They basically measure a force by using something like a spring, let's say. So if you know the spring constant of a spring, then you compress it by a certain amount, you know what force is acting on it. and then you basically divide that force by a given gravitational acceleration to tell the mass of whatever is sitting on that weight or that scale. Now, if you have a scale upside down, it doesn't know what it's exactly calculating. So if you have it on the surface, which is what you're supposed to do, and to place something on it and determine its mass, it's not going to all of a sudden realize that, okay, now it's on the ceiling and it's not measuring the gravitational force. It's just measuring a force and it's dividing by a given acceleration. So it's going to give you a mass readout that's incorrect. That's the first thing. But let's just say you have a scale that just gives you the direct, or it gives you the force without having to divide by some arbitrary acceleration to give you a mass reading. If you're just going to measure the force, what's happening is you have a balloon of air that has lower density than the surrounding air. And so basically for any given volume, let's say half a cubic meter of atmospheric air versus half a cubic meter of helium, that regular atmospheric air is going to have a greater force of gravity that's acting on it because there's more mass there. And so what's going to happen is that atmospheric air is going to push down with a greater force in that balloon. So what's going to happen is the balloon is just basically going to be displaced from underneath as that atmospheric air goes around it. And that's going to push that balloon upwards. And then when it hits the ceiling, it's going to press up slightly against that scale, which is going to give you your mass reading. Now, without something to create that downwards force that creates that difference in the force between any two given volumes, then you wouldn't have, say, a lighter gas being displaced by a heavier gas. So one easy way that you could sort of disprove this is just to take a vial of any two fluids that have different densities, say oil and water, and then if you ever get the chance to do this, I think there's a company that does this for recreation. It takes you up in a plane and they go down at the acceleration due to gravity, and so you feel weightless. If you were to take that vial and just sort of shake it around, the water and the oil, while they won't disperse because one's a polar liquid and one's a non-polar liquid, they won't suddenly separate into layers anymore. They will actually be able to have little blobs of oil immersed in the water, because the basically the acceleration difference between between the oil and the water is zero. In other words, we can treat that net acceleration within that non-inertial frame of reference to be zero, and thus there's no force acting on it from the perspective of someone within that plane.
Any chance that Gary understood that?
I highly doubt it.
So I actually, Gary, if you care to learn, which I think you don't, but I did a video almost a year ago on buoyancy, explaining it without formulas. But I don't know. I don't care. If you can't do a formula, then you have no business trying to debunk the Earth. So here is the formula for buoyancy, rho GV. Rho is the density of the fluid. G is 9.8 meters per second squared. It's an acceleration. Weird. Where'd that come from? And V is the volume displaced. When you have a balloon with helium in it, it displaces the air. Right? A certain density, that air has a certain density, and that air has a certain volume. Right? Those two things are related, right? So you take that, you calculate the force of the buoyancy. Then you take the weight of the balloon and you compare them. And if the weight of the balloon is less than the buoyant force, it'll go up. And what's doing that is the air is pushing down underneath the balloon. It's pushing it up because the air wants to be here because what's inside the balloon isn't as dense. So it says, get the heck out of here. You go up. We get to be here. We're more important than you. Like if you're at a concert, the big guy's going to be in the front. I like going to concerts, which may not happen ever again. So, all right, they're talking about me rapping. I rapped last week. I did. Not proud of it. It was pretty bad. It did happen. Brainy was there. Brainy didn't actually know Amish Paradise. Oh. Brainy. Yeah, so Dick Dawson invited me to a really bad musical video stream something. What did you say? You don't want me there. All right, we're planning a "How bad are you" musical thing for lock-in fun, and I'm in. And quit asking me to sprinkle them chesticles has challenged me to a rap off several times because he knows he's worse than me. I cannot actually have that tested. I need to hold that title. Bedrock Anthem is good too. Yeah. Well, it should be rap. Sean Hawkins. Bedrock Anthem isn't rap. I can do It's All About the Pentiums. I know all those lyrics way too well. Also, and White and Nerdy, not as well though. So, Dick Dawson. I'll rap as well. MC Tune. I am an old school rocker. Let's do bad and have fun. Michael Jackson's bad? Or do you mean Weird Al's fat? Because The Fresh Prince of St. Cloud? Oh yeah, pretty fly for a white guy. Yep. Pretty fly for a rabbi is the version I know, of course. The original Weird Al version, as I say. What is the Fresh Prince of St. Cloud? It's if it's not Weird Al, I'm probably not gonna know it. That's it. It's gonna be hilariously awful and amazing. Yeah. Well, I do live streams on Tuesdays normally, so if you could do it on a Tuesday, let me know. I'll make it happen. So, well, what are you thinking, guys? Is Team Skeptic still going with Mr. Idiot? Here's the thing, Mr. Idiot will always claim that he won. No matter how bad. Oh, quit asking me. He's going to do Humpty Dance. This is your chance. Oh, what is it? The Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump. The Humpty Hump. It is by The Offspring, but it sounds like it was written by Al. Yeah, the Pretty Fly for a Rabbi version is the one I know. That was covered by Weird Al. So that one I don't know as well. So I love Weird Al. I was working on a project. It was a pretty intense project, and we focused on it. So I moved to a different part of the building where nobody else was around. I was in an office all by myself. And I listened to nothing but Weird Al for about 3 months. All day long for 3 months with nobody else in the room most of the time. So there you go. That was crazy. So guys, Pretty Fly for a Rabbi reminds me of Matasehu. I don't know what that is. Jack, you got any raps you can do for us?
Nah, I don't rap. I'm a classical musician. I have I have strong feelings about rap, and none of them are very positive.
Really? Well, I'm not much of a rap fan either. What instrument do you play?
I play the clarinet.
Okay, classical clarinet. And Jordan, you got any raps for us?
I do not. No. I don't want to break people's speakers. So.
Oh, let's see. So, oh my goodness, I had to look up the lyrics for Pretty Fly for a White Guy. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis. You know, it's kind of hard just to get along today. Our subject isn't cool, but he fakes it anyway. He needs some cool tunes, not just any will suffice, but they didn't have ice cubes, so he bought vanilla ice. Now cruising in his Pinto, he sees his homies as he pass, but if he looks twice, they're gonna kick him in his lily ass. There you go, pretty fly for a rabbi. Like he's always a schlemiel. He's never a schlemiel? I don't even know how to spell schlemiel. Well, that's the wrong one. No wonder. No wonder it's not familiar to me. I only know the original Weird Al version, so hold on. There it is. And I'm sorry, Round Thinker, if I get any of this wrong. Our temples had a fair share of rabbis in the past, but most of them were eunuchs, and none of them would last. But our new guy's real kosher. He really does the trick. I tell you, he's to die for. He really knows his dick. So, I don't know. There you go. Quit asking me is saying, Jack, all the more reason for you to rap.
Nah.
Nah.
I feel like we haven't given Jordan enough of the spotlight. Let's find some more biology related stuff because that is definitely where I can't help you at all.
How can 60 gigahertz affect oxygen so that the hemoglobin cannot uptake?
It can't. I mean, you guys covered it earlier, and it's just the thing. I mean, oxygen affects 60 gigahertz, not the other way around. And I mean, I think Jack that was explaining it at the time, but he said it just heats it up a little, which is exactly right. The most it can happen is heat it up a little. And if you concentrate it and put it in a metal box, like is in your kitchen, then it gets a little hotter than that. But that's the most that can happen with high energy. I say high energy, but higher energy microwaves. Yeah. Higher energy microwaves is when you focus them in a box. And even then, if people are familiar with how microwaves heat unevenly, and that's why they have a turntable, it's because most of the heat comes from when the waves cross each other, not really, when they bounce back and forth. So, and it heats so unevenly because of that. And well, yeah. And it's just, I mean, if you're not putting yourself in a metal box with the 5G router, then you're probably going to be fine. And even then, I don't think you would feel any more than just a little warm.
Let me show you something here. I'm going to pop out to my garage. You're going to have to talk while I do that. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay. Don't know what you want me to talk about. Jack, what should I talk about?
Oh wait, I found this one guy that I think this is right up your alley. The guy that constantly denies evolution. I gotta find this guy. I forgot his name.
I have seen a lot of people just straight denying evolution, which is weird because we have more observable evidence. Maybe that's a bit of a broad statement, but we have almost as much observable evidence of evolution that we do gravity. It's
and people deny gravity.
I found him. Yeah, wait, Kent Hovind. Yeah, that's the guy's.
Oh, Kent Hovind. Oh my goodness. Oh, don't even. He's the bane of my existence. I'm not even gonna.
All right. So I have here this dish antenna here again. This is a wireless access point. It injects a signal, right? Over Cat5. So it's powered over the Cat5 cable. So the actual limit to how much power it can have is pretty limited because that cable isn't it can't put too much in it, right? So that's what you got there. That is microwave range radiation, right?
Right.
So is your microwave oven. Your microwave oven, though, has this in it. Oh, so heavy. This is the transformer from a large microwave. Right? It is stupidly heavy. This is to step the voltage up. So, it's just dang heavy. It's to step the voltage up so that it can do what it does in a microwave. So the radiation in the your microwave that's sitting in your house already is way more powerful than any Wi-Fi access point or any tower, any cell tower, because the cell towers are limited in how much electricity or how much power they're allowed to put out by regulation, and by physics, because they don't have thick enough cables to get the kind of power you'd need to send it over a long distance. So there you go. I have a whole bunch of these in my garage because every microwave that I've ever had, I take it apart and I took out the parts. I have a whole bunch of components, including all of the transformers, just sitting in a pile. Because what do you do with a transformer? It sits there because you. What are you gonna do with it? Oh, my kid wanted to weld with them. That's why he wanted to. He's like, oh yeah, you gotta get microwave transformers so that we can weld with them. So there we go. And instead, we just bought a welder. Oh
yeah. I think isn't. I noticed that Ju in the he said it's a magnetron. Now if I'm not mistaken, the magnetron is the part that has the beryllium oxide in it, though, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. If I remember correctly, the transformer was what you were holding, and the magnetron is a different part, and I believe it contains the beryllium oxide around a core, and that's what is used to when you send the high voltage. It's almost a couple thousand volts that goes through there, but that's what generates the microwave radiation. I'm sure somebody can correct me. Stringer probably, he knows quite a bit about this.
Yeah, Stringer News says that's why we use waveguides at UHF and up. So yeah, I actually don't know how a microwave oven works other than kind of the basics of stepping the voltage up using a heavy transformer.
Right.
And it's just kind of sloppy. It doesn't have to be quality signaling, right? So and then it's shielded around the outside, so you don't get all sorts of stuff shooting out around it, and it doesn't matter a whole lot because it doesn't have to be in any particular range because you're not using it for communications. So, Gary Wybenga. Gary says, what happens to the most dense liquids in the density tube when it's free falling? In the density tube, when you're in free fall on a 0G plane, the most buoyant liquid wants to stay at the top. Correct. Incorrect. It will mix freely. As long as it's in 0G, what's going to happen is they're not going to sort themselves by density as long as it's in 0G. So if you started with it in one orientation, flipped it around in the other orientation without mixing them, they would stay in that other orientation until you got to the bottom of the parabola and gravity was now once again affecting it. So it would then resort itself. So, sorry. You
Brian
understand.
Cox. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, go. No, dude.
Sorry.
Brian Cox was.
Yeah, Brian Cox actually. Sorry, go on. You say something about Brian Cox. Yeah, was it? Am I talking about? Maybe I'm saying the wrong name, but isn't he the physicist that does YouTube videos?
Yes.
Or am I thinking
Well,
of somebody
he
else?
does. He has done some videos. He did the famous one he did on gravity was in the NASA vacuum chamber where they dropped feathers and a bowling ball, and with air in there, the feathers floated down lightly, and the bowling ball fell fast. But they evacuated the air, and I believe inside there they get about 10 to the negative 6 torr. And when they evacuated the air and then dropped them, they dropped at the same rate. And the balloons. What do I want to say balloons? Because of Gary. The feathers hit the bottom at the same time as the bowling ball. So it was the the air wasn't, pressure and buoyancy differences isn't what's causing it to go down, because there was no air in there to cause things to go down, yet they still went down.
Okay.
And Multi Tom Tom's defense is that vacuum is not a natural phenomenon. Doesn't matter. Nobody gives a damn about your stupid idea there, Multi Tom Tom. Just because it doesn't happen what you think naturally doesn't mean anything at all, except that you don't understand science. That's it. So, Bendy Light, Multi Tom Tom, do you ever get tired of being QE's bitch? No, I think he likes it. So he comes in saying, guys, the earth is flat. I thought you thought the earth was a cube. So, Extra J, I've got a microwave that quit working. I wonder if I could combine some things to some things from a broken rear projection TV, Frenza lens, and make a neat death ray. Of course. Yes. Oh, here the space is fake, says Multi Tom Tom, with no evidence, therefore it's a lie. So
yeah, it was. It might have not been Brian Cox, but there was somebody who showed that on they demonstrated it was the separated layers of liquid, and then they went on the I think it was the Vomit Comet or whichever the commercial equivalent of that is, and they showed that they would not stay in their separated layers in 0G.
Multi Tom Tom says Kiwi is a scientist. He's not a scientist. A scientist wouldn't say the things that Kiwi says. Oh.
Quantum Eraser.
Quantum Eraser is a moron, an absolute moron. And he's at the peak of Mount Stupid. He's fighting for the top of that peak on the Dunning-Kruger Mount Stupid scale. And, there's a lot of people clamoring for the top. I believe the current victor of holding the peak of Mount Stupid is Austin Whitsitt. But it's a highly contested position. QE has been on top before, and I'm sure he will be on top again. But Austin is there right now. Yeah.
Austin is. I haven't seen Austin around in a long time, because I know he's quite full of himself at the moment. But yeah.
Multi Tom Tom says he uses the scientific method. He doesn't. In fact, he thinks the scientific method is a religious document. It's not. That must be adhered to, or the scientific method gods will declare that you are not using science. That's not how science works. There is no one scientific method, as QE would have you believe. But Multi Tom Tom, you are not informed enough to even know that QE is not a scientist. That's key right there. You don't even know that. QE did QE float an egg on salt water and call gravity fake because of it? No, that was Sleeping Warrior. But yeah, they're almost identical in their misunderstanding of science. So yeah. Basically, the one thing that they like to do is they like to say prove. Everything's about proving, and like we said before, proof is part of four things: math, alcohol, baking, and pseudoscience. And as Jack said, potentially some very nominal, low, like super narrow scope things. And then they're all about it's only cause and effect that science can examine. Very interesting. Sean Hawkins says QE has to bastardize the scientific method as conspired to change the definitions of science and the branches of science to fit his narrative. And so Multi Tom Tom says Sean Hawkins then debate him. I don't know if QE would step out of the protective arms or out of the protective wings of Nathan Oakley, who also won't step out of his own protective studio, right? He won't debate anybody on another platform. I've been on other platforms where I was not the moderator, Modern Day Debates, Fight the Flat Earth channel, and Non Sequitur show. I've also been on the 24/7 Flat Earth server, Discord server. I've been on a couple weeks ago. I was on Emma UK's Discord server. I was on Austin Whitsit's channel. I was also dual streamed with Red Pill Philosophy. So all of those things were on a neutral position, but I don't think QE would do that. I'd love to see him step out if you bring that message to him, Multi Tom Tom. I'll debate QE. Oh, there you go. Oh, Gary. Gravity doesn't exist. Otherwise, the dense part of the liquid wouldn't be thrown to the top by centrifugal force of the tube free falling. There is no centrifugal force in a free fall. Oh, there you go. Negative exponent. He just asked QE if he would debate on Modern Day Debates, but he said that wasn't a neutral platform. Really? That's interesting. Yeah, and I don't. Why would anybody ever be on Nathan's show? Because he's not serious. He won't allow a debate on there. Pretty. He interrupts, yells, swears, mutes, like all constantly. So you don't get a sentence in. Making Nathan Thompson a mod didn't help. Yeah, on the Modern Day Debates, I guess. Yeah. Gary Wabenga. Sorry, Multi Tom Tom. I'm still waiting for you to send me that email. So last week, you said you agreed to come on debate. If I turned off monetization of that video and super chats for that video, and I'll do that. I haven't. It's been a whole week. I haven't gotten an email from you. So here's the deal. You agreed last week, so I'm gonna put a time frame on it. If you did agree to a debate, so send me an email tonight, mctoon@mctoon.net, or you just lied about accepting the debate. So send this in my email. Go. Modern Day Debate mods are people who donated. If more FE donate, more become mods. Yeah. You do realize if gravity existed, it isn't eliminated by free fall in the OG plane. In an OG, yes, or zero G plane. It's not eliminated, no, but it's. Oh my god. It's like you
explain this. Here, let's put it this way. The reason you feel weight when you're sitting down in that big comfy chair of yours is because the gravity wants to accelerate you downwards, but the chair is in your way. And so what ends up happening is your mass, the mass of your body is being pressed into that seat. Now, The same thing happens in, say, a glass of water and oil. The oil is pressing down on the water, and the water's, if it were on top of the oil, be pressing down on the oil. But they can't, well, I shouldn't say they can't get out of the way. Because water is more dense, it pushes harder, and thus it pushes through the oil, and thus they separate into these layers. Because they can't just keep going downwards without getting each other's way, since the glass has a bottom that won't allow that oil to continue to accelerate downwards. It won't allow the water to continue to accelerate downwards. There's a solid barrier in the way. If you're in a plane that's diving down at the acceleration due to gravity, then you feel weightlessness because everything is allowed to accelerate at the acceleration due to gravity, and thus they're not pushing up against each other. And thus you don't have water and oil separate into layers because they can just sort of freely immerse in each other.
So, you get that there, Gary? Probably not. I have this. Oh, that's awesome.
It's green, isn't it?
It is, like you can see through it. Richard Feynman, 6 Not So Easy Pieces. Chapter 2, Vectors. Let's see.
Oh my god, this brings me back to high school.
Yeah. So vectors are additive, right? So Gary, if you're going down, accelerating down at 9.8 meters per second squared, and gravity is up at 9.8 meters per second squared, there you go. They neutralize each other. They add to 0. And of all ridiculous things, Multi-Tom-Tom says F equals ma debunks gravity. I think F equals ma debunks gravity debunks your ability to think critically. What it does. How could, I don't know how you could even, Jack, is it even possible to explain to somebody that thinks that F equals ma debunks gravity how it doesn't debunk gravity? Is it possible to explain to that person?
If you think you can substitute one axiom for another, then no. You can't just cherry pick what parts of physics you accept.
So I mean, it's funny. We've got right here one guy, Multi-Tom-Tom, F equals ma, which is essentially the second law of motion. And then you've got Gary, who denies the third law of
Go here.
yeah.
If you allow me to share my screen, I can derive the third law and just show you why we came up with it.
All right, pay attention here. Let me got some stuff.
So is this working or?
No, hold on. It's taking over everything. Just a second, I guess.
All right, sure.
Gotta find. That'll work. See all your drawing tools. It's a big white screen right now.
Great. All right, so am I free to go or?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so let's consider two objects. I'll just draw circles to represent them. So we'll call this 1 and this 2. Now, momentum is basically the capacity of an object to retain its motion in the face of other forces that are acting on it. So we define it as mass times velocity. So in other words, P is equal to, or Pi is equal to mi times Vi. Where I just so for example, the momentum of object 1, we'll call that P1, is equal to the mass of P1, or mass of object 1 times the velocity of V1. And we can do the same thing for object 2. And I'm just doing the arrow symbol here to denote it. It's a vector quantity. Oh, this brings me back to high school. So hard. Now, one of the principal axioms of mechanics is that the sum of the momentum of a system, unless it's interacting with an outside force, it's never going to change. So the way we denote this is that the derivative with respect to time, meaning how it changes over time, of the sum from I equals 1 to n, where n can be any number of objects, because we can do this with any number of objects' momentums, of Pi, is going to be equal to 0. It doesn't change over time. So what can we derive from this? Well, if we have an object 1 that collides with object 2, let's say they're flying towards each other. So they hit each other, and what's going to happen to their momentums? Well, we know that if we were to apply some force over time, so the integral of, what's it called, force with respect to time from t naught to t, which is just any amount of time afterwards, that's going to result in some change in the momentum. So if I have an object 1, let's go down here, and object 2 is coming in, screaming, and it slams into it, it changes the momentum of object 1. But we just said that the sum of all the momentums of all the objects in our system, it cannot change over time. So what this implies is that in order for the d by dt of the sum of momentum with respect to time, in order for this to be 0, then for any change in momentum, if there exists a change in momentum p1, this implies that there must exist a change in momentum p2, and we write such that p2, or delta p2, is equal to negative delta p1, because we have a change that basically cancels each other out. If we add these two together, we get 0, and thus we conserve momentum within our system. And so we can also write about this, that because the period that a collision occurs in is going to be equal for both objects. Let's say it takes 5 seconds for 2 objects to come into contact and release each other. That's going to be 5 seconds for both objects. And so what this implies is that if there exists a force F1, then this implies that there exists a force F2, such that F1 is equal to negative F2. And we usually just state this as, for any given action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, which is Newton's third law. But this is sort of the formal layout of why this thing exists. It's derived from the definition of momentum and the law of conservation of momentum, which is an axiom of classical mechanics that actually holds true even in relativistic mechanics as well. So yeah, that is why Newton's third law has to exist. In order for you to deny that, you have to be able to derive that momentum is not conserved, and once again, you've won a Nobel Prize. But I'm still waiting on you to actually show the work on that one.
So, very nice. As you started that, he said, here's more formulas, lol. But just before that, he said, this is awesome.
I'm sure I'm going to love this.
By the way, Newton was an idiot.
Newton was an idiot in many different ways. Math and physics was not one of them. He was an alchemist. He thought he could get gold from rocks. In that capacity, he was absolutely stupid. He was not a very good chemist. Although I don't think there exists such a thing as a good chemist. But that's a story for another time. But I mean, you have to understand, like, here's a story I always like to tell. There was this very famous mathematician, Bernoulli, who came up with things like the way that fluids behave. And he had a brother, also named Bernoulli, because they have the same last name. And he was trying to become the next big guy in mathematics. And so he created a math challenge that we now know as the Brachistochrone problem. And if you give this to any introductory class for physics in university, you'll probably stump a lot of the students. He gave this to Newton, who he was insulted at the simplicity of this question. Mind you, this is something that will trick most or trip up most students who have the math basis to understand the proof for the solution, but they just don't get how to like actually derive that solution. They have to think about it for weeks on end. Newton spent one night on it, published a paper explaining the solution to the problem. He was so insulted by its simplicity, he refused to put his name on it, and it was only after he died that we know that it was Newton who wrote that proof. So he was an idiot in many ways, but physics and math is definitely not one of them.
I remember that thing. I forgot now.
Mm-hmm.
It's my, there it is. Oh. The logo I made. So yeah, for somebody like multi-tom-tom to say that Newton was an idiot is I mean, you're trying hard to unseat Austin Whitsitt. You are. I mean, he's going to keep that title, but you're tapping on his feet there. So let's see. I'm going to have to export this. I have this this logo that I did. Transparency. There you go. You can tell me what's wrong with it. It's wrong on purpose.
Okay, you gonna share it on the screen or?
Yeah, just a sec.
All right.
All right, do you see it?
Nope.
I showed this to AB Science and
Oh, here we go. What? Moscovium?
well, look at the
Okay.
it's MC Tune, right?
Uh-huh.
So what's wrong with there's 3 things wrong.
Let's see. Okay, you have an oxygen. I can't see what the right one is. It's being blocked. It.
Oh, what's wrong? What's
Here. Oh, there we go. Organism.
maybe Jordan can
Did you
identify what's wrong.
Did you make up several of these elements?
Yeah. Go on. I mean, I see what's wrong, but yeah. I mean,
There's
Moscovium.
Organism. What the fuck?
Oganes.
That's actually an element.
That is an element. I don't think it's ON though.
Okay, wait. Why is both M and C capitalized in Moscovium?
There you go. There's one.
Yeah.
Okay. There's 3 things wrong. Okay, so you have multiple charges on that tungsten. That's I don't know what that number is supposed to denote.
No, those aren't what's wrong with that.
Okay.
Tungsten isn't T.
Yeah, it's
tungsten is
supposed to be
It's
W.
a W. Yep.
Yeah.
Wolfram. Yep.
I'm not seeing the other one. I thought that is Moscovium.
Moscovium is MC. It's just the C should be lowercase. And the final one is going to be really hard if you're not paying attention to the newest discovered elements.
Wait.
It's OG, not ON for oganesson.
Oh, okay.
But that is the heaviest element, and it's only a handful of atoms of it have ever existed. So anyway, I had played with that as a logo for a bit, but did not stick with it. Is Res Rhetoric? Oh, he's in here. How you doing, man? So Graham Price says, ironically, it takes an idiot of huge proportions to have the stupidity to say Newton was an idiot in a public forum. Yes, it does. It does. But Multi-Tom-Tom is just the man for that job. So, check Twitter DMs. Oh. What new craziness are you doing today? Reds. That's fine. Hammering the truth home. Yeah, so if only you could identify what was wrong. Here's the deal. If you can disprove gravity, you get a Nobel Prize. If you can disprove Newton's 3 laws of motion, you get a Nobel Prize. That's all you got to do, man. Just write it up, put it together in a really nice package and collect your prize. A lot of money at
Isn't there?
at
Yeah,
play,
there's a lot of money for that, right? Yeah.
yeah. It's the Nobel Prize in Science, which is, I think, legitimate instead of the Nobel Prize in that other stuff.
Peace.
It's too subjective. So,
Well, Nobel Prize in Medicine, I think, is also a good one.
yeah, I'd say that's a science too.
Yeah.
Like Nobel Peace Prize is a bit subjective and stuff.
Yeah. What speed is free fall? Oh, multi tom tom. He just
Okay.
not even understanding stuff. Well, that's enough. A multi tom tom. You agreed to a debate. I haven't got that email. Send it. Or you're a liar. So I guess flat earthers are liars, so it suits you. So, oh, Gary, if you're in a car and you have a helium balloon attached to the floor with a string and a regular balloon filled with air hanging from a string, what would happen when the car accelerates? Yeah, and it disproves your stupid idea, Gary. And you saying that shows that you just don't understand this simple stuff. So, I don't know.
I want to see this guy write a differential equation for force and position.
Gary Wabenga is a cow farmer. Gary Wabenga cheated his way through high school. It's the only way he graduated.
Oh, God.
That's it. So he thinks he's smarter than everybody else because he doesn't understand how he doesn't understand. That's it's the key of Dunning-Kruger. It absolutely is. We're seeing that he doesn't understand that he doesn't understand. It's why
this reminds me. There's this guy. It was a very funny video. He was interviewing anti-vaxxers during a protest, and he would ask them, "Are you a doctor?" And at one point he said, "Are you a doctor?" And the guy said, "No." And he goes, "But you've done your research, yes?" And the anti-vaxxer goes, "Oh yeah, for sure. I've done my research." And the guy doing the interview goes, "No, when you say you've done that research, do you mean like as a part of a 6-year doctoral degree, or just more like Google and stuff?" So when people say they've done research, I get very skeptical very quickly.
Well, yeah, and people slop the word research, right? Reading stuff,
A blog.
actually, reading a peer-reviewed, published experiment or journal is not actually research, right? Research is what would come out, which is what you do so that you could write that journal, write that experiment, right? So
I mean, most people don't even get so far as a peer-reviewed journal. I asked someone for a peer-reviewed paper for the whole UV injection thing, like the disinfectant getting injected into your body to defend Trump, and he gave me a link to an NCBI page. But people don't realize that websites like NCBI and Springer, they're not peer-reviewed journals. They just link to various articles that they take from journals, from non-reputable journals, from people's books. The article was specifically from a book of someone trying to sell alternative medicine, which, yeah.
Yep. Hold on, I'm solving my cube here.
Sure. Yeah. Next time we ought to get a chemist on, just one so that we have got all three of the natural science, and two so I can make fun of him.
So, oh yeah, I showed that to AB Science, and I'm like, what did you identify as the errors? I identified them, and I'm like, what do you think? He says, screw chemists. So
I don't know why chemists are now getting so much smack. Usually it's the biology majors.
Yeah, it's the biology majors. They deserve it.
I'm used to getting it. I mean,
but you know what? I guess we'll spend this last little bit just talking about this. Some of the inter-science rivalry. Basically, mathematicians, as far as I'm concerned, they're oh shit, my mic just went to hell. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
yeah.
Mathematicians, as far as I'm concerned, they might as well be gods because it's just pure logic, proving things rigorously. Physicists are essentially sloppy mathematicians that trying to apply parts of mathematics to figure out how physics works, basically, and then engineers apply that to make things. Chemists work on higher complexity substances, and they're usually homeless because they can't find jobs. but that aside, biology then looks at a much wider scope of things and figure out how things behave in organisms. The thing that gets biology majors so much smack is that the actual complexity of the concepts in some of, especially the elementary stuff and the lower year undergrad courses, it's not that challenging. It's just a lot of memorization base. Whereas trying to learn how to be competent at differential equations is in my mind at the very least is a little harder from a conceptual standpoint. That being said, I would never make it as a biology major. I just don't have the memorization capacity to figure all those different parts of a cell. And chemists, like, they make a lot of cool stuff. Like, I mean, making ethanol and moonshine from toilet paper. I'm not gonna talk too much smack about that in a very serious sense, but I mean,
I think we know what your next project is going to be.
Already done that, actually.
I've always thought a still is a cool thing. So, Multi Tom Tom says, I only do natural science. Now,
oh, which one?
Oh, that's all of. So, Jack, what is natural science? And I'll then tell you what Multi Tom Tom thinks it is.
Okay. Natural science involves the study of anything to do with how things that exist in nature behave. So physics looks at how, on a very elementary basis, how different objects will interact with each other through forces and things like that. Chemistry is basically to do with how different substances can react and change phases or react to to form new molecules. Biology looks at how living organisms interact with different substances and each other. And then we can get into little sub branches like zoology to get like animal behavior and stuff like that.
So, specifically, when you said natural, what is natural?
It exists in the real world as far as we know.
Yeah. So, what would be an example of something not natural?
Let me think of a very simple one that even he could grasp.
Religion.
Oh yeah, that one for sure. But I was thinking more along the lines of
metaphysics.
Metaphysics, yeah.
So, but here's because I know that Multi Tom Tom, he eats the vomit that QE and Nathan Oakley spew. They think that natural means things that were not made by humans.
No. So
as soon as you do something, as soon as you make a tool, as soon as you construct something, it is no longer natural. It is. So when he said earlier, if you remember, a vacuum is not naturally occurring, therefore it's not part of natural science. He thinks the definition, and because scientists say the study of natural things is what we do, they've just defined natural to mean things that people have not made. That's what they've done. So, Multi Tom Tom says metaphysics is BS. Absolutely. But so is, in his mind, any science where a tool was created, unless it supports his outcome, of course. So.
I had a very long argument with a metaphysicist once. I don't even know if I could even stick on the physicist part of that name without the cringing, because he was trying to tell me that 0 and infinity are the same number. Oh, God.
So Multi Tom Tom, how is, so he says outer space is pseudoscience because he doesn't understand it, of course. But how is a vacuum in a vacuum chamber not part of nature?
It exists, therefore it's part of nature.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more simple I can make this for you. It exists.
And so they didn't, Huey and Nathan Oakley, they didn't look at the definition of natural by, like Stanford University or Berkeley University when they say that science is a study of natural things. They don't look at that definition. They just substitute their own definition. So That's the silliness. But they do specifically define it, like in Berkeley has on their website, their Understanding Science website. Natural would be things that are physical, that exist, things that we can look at and touch and measure and observe and whatever, not metaphysics and religion. So yeah, he goes, not naturally occurring. Okay, so if multi-tom-tom, if that's your definition of science, then as soon as you use a pen, it's no longer science. As soon as you publish it, it's not science. As soon as you have a tool to measure something, according to you, it's not science. But here's the thing. Scientists don't do that. Scientists don't have that definition. Normal thinking people don't have that definition. That's your definition so that you can cherry pick what you want and what you don't want. That's it. We see right through the farce. You don't. You were fooled by Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser. Anyway, I think that's a pretty good thing. Pretty good for today. Heaven is up, earth is down, just like God created it. No, the earth is a spinning ball. Sorry. Just saying that doesn't. Yeah, as soon as it's manipulated, apparently it's no longer natural, therefore not science. So multi-tom-tom, nothing is science then. Nothing at all is allowed. So, whatever. Go away, you're stupid. I'm waiting for that email. If you don't send it, you're a liar. And thank you to Jack and Jordan for coming on. We had a nice time chatting and looking at chemistry and biology a little bit, 5G, some misunderstanding of flat earthers not knowing basically anything about Newton's laws or centrifugal force. So next week should be Shay, who last week had people show up at the last minute. Hopefully he does show up, and I may have another debate. I'm just going to try to book 2 because, flat earthers don't show up. Right, multi-tom-tom? They don't keep their word. A flat earther's word is worthless. That's what I've found. So.
Right. I gotta hop off now.
Yeah.
I actually really gotta go.
All right. Thanks,
well,
guys.
nice having you guys.
We'll see you later.
Cool. Yep. Thanks.
Yep.
Make sure you click that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you also to my patrons and channel members. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you later.